Hello, this is Chair. I am staring down the barrel of my mortality from a cardboard box, and because I'm sad, I'm going to make tangentially related colleagues sad because my less tangentially related colleagues don't want to talk to me anymore.
Woof. Yeah, that's exactly what this documentary was.
I think I just summarized it while introducing us.
You definitely
Cool.
did.
Who else is here?
So we're good here, or?
Just for the
this,
summary.
This is Ames, and I'm having a great time on a horsey.
This is Caitlin, and for some reason I let this fucking idiot into my house. And now we're having a therapy session.
Hi, Jake. I'm just gonna sing a little bit. I'm playing the piano.
Go on! Go on!
Jazzy
I
Jake.
don't understand what the hell is happening.
Go
I
on.
should have taken my meds this morning, but I
on.
didn't. I'm completely deranged.
That's it. Truth. Guys, what the fuck? Guys, why is Avery Brooks so upsetting? What happened to Avery
okay,
Brooks?
With his eyes.
He's got.
Well-
I feel like I think there's a greater than 50% chance that he was just trolling Shatner.
That's pretty
definitely.
Like, there's no way he is that weird.
good. I don't
Guys,
know. He seems that
know.
weird.
He does seem pretty weird. I'll give you that.
But like,
I think that... Oh, go Chris, go. Sorry.
I think he might genuinely be a delightfully odd person, but I think he probably ramped it up when he realized Shatner wasn't there to talk about Star Trek. Shatner was there to get free therapy. What I know is, I know he said he's retired from Star Trek, but they need to drive a fucking dump truck of money up to Avery Brooks's house to be like, we need you to come back. We need you to be like post-wormhole Ben. Look, we won't give you a
don't
script.
even have to act.
Yeah, we will give you guidelines, like kind of like how you guys have told me they wrote Curb. Like, here are certain plot points you have to hit, but how you get there is entirely
How he gets
up
there
to you.
is going to be via piano.
They won't give him a piano. That's
They
too
might.
hard to
He'll
have
find
live.
one. He'll bring his
Guys,
own.
he has to. The music has to travel from God through him to me.
Yeah,
like,
see, that's the
because
thing.
all I
I
could-
don't need more Cisco, to be honest. I think
Oh my God.
Cisco ended. We're done with Cisco.
Here's the thing. I didn't think I did until I saw this, because again, I want them to let him go as nuts on set as Coppola didn't but had to deal with Brando being on
Yeah.
Apocalypse Now. I want to let him go full fucking Brando in Star Trek.
We need our Brando, the cow slaughtering moment of Star Trek. Where just
Oh my god.
Avery Brooks just spouts nonsense while we watch somebody slaughter a cow.
See, I
over
think-
really bad music.
I'm in the opposite boat of Chris, which is I thought I needed more Cisco until I watched this and saw what had become of the man who played Cisco, and now
What have they speaking of Brando? What have they done to my boy?
I was so upset. Also, good news for people who don't like that scene in Apocalypse Now. The cow was dead before they started cutting it up, and the reason why I say that is because there's like almost no blood. There's no way that's a live cow, which made me feel a lot better.
Well, it looked delicious.
I mean, I eat a lot of burgers, so
Yeah,
it would be pretty hypocritical of me to be angry by that scene.
No, that's not so, because you can eat meat and still want ethical treatment of animals. Like, you could want them to have, like, decent living spaces and, like, not be literally butchered alive.
So
I
we
mean,
want
I
them to not talk to Shatner before they're dead.
Yeah,
No one
if
should have to
you
talk to
let Shatner talk to your cows, it makes the meat really bitter and tough and stringy.
But here's the thing, Caitlin.
All right, Jake.
I respect that you're saying all this stuff, but how can you do that with all your hormones?
Oh my
Like, how is it even
fucking
possible for you
God.
to have thoughts and do
I-
things
No, you're right.
Your
I
emotions
am
and your
constantly
hormones.
worried about the children I don't have. I'm like,
Yeah.
what's happening to
It's
little Jimmy?
impossible,
What
isn't
about
it?
little Sally?
It's impossible. Tell me
I-
how it was possible when it's impossible.
The worst part is that she agrees with him.
We should
I
give
think she just-
context to our audience members who didn't
No,
watch
they should have
the
to
fucking
suffer as
Captains.
we've suffered. This is bullshit.
Yeah,
We have
like,
given blood,
before-
sweat, and tears, and 96 minutes of our lives watching this piece of shit. The least the readers can do is go do the same. It's free on Amazon Prime. You have no excuse
And
except that you
Peacock.
value your time.
Yeah, the excuse is just you value your time and your respect for these actors.
I just gotta say, like, that woman deserves whatever the fuck, I can't remember, the highest civilian honor.
That woman being
for
Mulgrew?
Yeah, for not just strangling him to death right then and there.
I thought about it real hard. I was like, Kate, just do it. Just slap this fucker.
But then,
She just-
like she doubles down on it with him. I don't know if she was just like being polite.
I think she was
or-
being polite because there was one of the Star Trek days in the past where they had a panel that was various women from across Trek talking about their experiences, and she and Sirtis fucking went off, and it was the best thing I've ever seen out of the two of them, just about how much extra bullshit they had to put up with as like women actors on Star Trek, or in life, really.
You mean
'cause-
about their hormones and how their
Definitely.
vaginas want children or something?
Yeah.
Like, I wanted a better interviewer to be talking to her, because I had no idea, like, she was raising kids on her own while doing Voyager.
Me neither.
And, like, she was clearly trying to get to the idea that there are different expectations, like, outside of Shatner's whole thing, as a woman and this and that, and,
Yeah. She was like, if I was an absentee mother as the only person there, it was a big deal. Whereas as the father, if you're out with your kids, it's, oh, look, dad's babysitting today.
Yeah.
Like, that's what she was trying to get at, I
and
feel
also,
like.
it was actually really stark because there's also the conversation that he has with Patrick Stewart, where the two of them are like, yeah, we were terrible husbands and fathers. Like,
Yeah,
when
we
we were
both
Patrick
got
children.
Stewart looked like
divorced
he was
because of
going to
it.
cry. I felt so
yeah.
bad.
I feel like they definitely both had several times during that session, because, like, both of them had very red eyes in some of their clips. Like,
Well, I feel like Shatner looked like he was watery the whole time. He might just have chronic dry eye or
I think
something.
he had the meat
Yeah.
sweats.
but yeah, like, I feel like
He is the meat sweat.
That
Stewart-
is correct.
Stewart might have been the only one who was told what this was actually going to be, but he was, like, there and ready for
Oh
it.
gosh, yeah, because there was that whole scene where Bill is just going on and on about how he was embarrassed to be Kirk sometimes.
Yeah.
And he just talked for, I swear it was 10 minutes straight, while you just cut to Stewart nodding and looking thoughtful and biting his fucking tongue.
And that's the thing, like the director, who is Shatner in this case,
Oh, yeah.
and the editors,
Is also
They sh-
Shatner?
I'm assuming so.
'Cause
They
it's
get
that
to
bad?
decide what they put in the movie, right? Because they
Yeah.
presumably shoot much more footage than we actually see.
They definitely did.
This
And
was the
what
most self-serving edit he could possibly come up with.
Well, including like the very long interludes of him wandering around a Star Trek convention, just getting praise from randos.
Oh yeah, you knew
Oh
he
my
had to keep all
God.
of that.
He was Chris Pine Kirk, too. Anytime there was a woman,
Oh,
he,
yeah.
like, stopped and watched her go
Yes!
by and turned his head. It's like, oh my Shatner has just turned into Drift Kirk.
I was thinking that same thing. Oh my god.
Yeah, creeping on Jerry Ryan, creeping on
Well, but that
Later.
was see. I think that was supposed to be like a bit, because he was like the most beautiful woman in Star Trek to all
I
of
know,
them.
yeah.
So I
Yeah,
think
I
it
know.
was meant to be like ha ha ha, but it really just made him look like a fucking
Well,
idiot.
because also it's only a bit if they know that it's a bit. But
Yeah.
if, like
Well,
otherwise,
no,
it's
but
like,
we do. It's dramatic
We
irony
do.
for the sake of the audience.
I will
Yeah.
admit, though, that, like, it was nice to see, like, even if it was mostly because it makes him feel good, but after Trekkies, it was nice to see a Star Trek convention treated as, like, a gathering for people who enjoy a thing, but not in, like, we're going to mock them for it way. Like, again, they mostly did that because Shatner loves the conventions because it feeds his ego, but still,
I
it was
love
a
that-
nice tonic.
I loved the part where they were like, yeah, he didn't want to go see these fucking losers at first, the first several years after the show ended. But when he heard how many people were showing up, he thought, "Oh, okay."
People who love him too. Like that's
Yeah.
who it
Yeah.
is. There's such the weird edit at one point when he's going to one of the conventions, and I realized what this was after the fact only because I read about it, and not because it's anywhere in this fucking very poorly edited documentary. And that's when he's in that elevator, and the elevator doors open, and he says, "Oh no, we're going up. You know, it's Shatner, blah blah blah." And the guy's yelling, "Oh hey, you're my uncle. You're my uncle," because that was Craig Huxley who played Kirk's nephew.
Okay.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
I assumed he was someone because he was kind of familiar, even though I wouldn't have seen him as an adult.
But they never go back and explain, but they still kept it in the documentary.
Is that the one in the when did Kirk have a nephew? Was it in the one where his
brother died?
Yeah.
Oh, with the flying vomit piles?
Yeah, I don't even remember that there being.
He was unconscious the whole episode long. He had no lines.
He was supposed to have a scene that got cut.
Okay. That's why I've forgotten this.
Well, thank God for good editors who were not working on this film.
What's also awkward about some of the editing is you can tell people were mostly Picardo was clearly referencing at one point that Mulgrew wasn't the original Janeway.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but they don't actually talk about it. Yeah.
That's not the story they're telling in this. It's not about Bill.
Yeah, so if you don't already know that she's not the original choice, his comment seems a little weird.
Yeah,
like
it was also kind of weird to me. Like so there were a bunch of talking head interviews with Picardo,
Frakes.
with
Riker, Frakes, yeah,
Riker,
Connor Trenier. Like there were a bunch of little talking.
Oh
head
well, we don't complain about Connor Trenier,
and I'm not complaining about. I thought some of the best parts of the thing were the little, even though they were very
the parts where Shatner wasn't in screen.
There, yeah.
But I was wondering though, if those were actually filmed for this documentary, or if
I was wondering that
this documentary.
Yeah, well, I can't call it a properly pronounced documentary because that would give it too much
sabotage.
Credit. Speaking of which, have we actually said the name of the film?
I have.
At all at this?
I made sure to sneak it in at one point because none of you did.
Thank you. Yeah. By the way,
not that it
Jake,
deserves it.
To your point, if you so when we were first doing this, when Ames first suggested this, I was like, "Isn't that a series?"
Oh wow! Did you see him just throw you under the bus, Ames?
I'm gonna blame Jake.
Blame Jake. When Ames had this terrible idea.
One of our super fans, is gonna have to go through the tapes and find where this originally came up.
I think I don't know if it's on tape is the thing, but I think when we were covering What We Left Behind, which is the DS9 documentary, which is stellar.
Yeah.
And really well edited.
Yeah.
We were talking about how Avery Brooks isn't in that, and Jake brought up then, I wonder if he refused because the last documentary he was in was The Captains, in which he just went full Cisco crazy and played the piano the whole time.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, because I hadn't seen this myself until now, but it's notorious. It's a well-known shit show.
All the reviews I've read have basically said oh yeah, it's weird and it's definitely Shatner serving, but Trekkies will love it. Trekkies will still eat this up.
Wrong.
No.
Because people that write these types of reviews think that Trekkies as a whole are fucking morons. They they saw the Denise Crosby documentary and were like, "Yep, that's Trekkies."
Yeah, no, I kept getting so much secondhand embarrassment and discomfort from Bill that I had to pause and walk away several times.
Oh my God.
I went into dishes at one point, but it is such a fucking bonkers. But so the thing is, I thought this was a series because I remember seeing thought I'd seen it listed somewhere before, and it turns out a couple years later they released 1 hour long episodes each. So each one is him with Stewart.
Long.
I think it was 47 minutes maybe.
Oh,
but anyway,
either way,
they're longer
footage.
I would hope so. But yeah, it's in, so each one is just his time with each individual captain.
How do you do the Pine one? He barely talked to him.
Well, they barely made it into the real cut, but if they actually talked for 3 hours,
They arm wrestled for 3 hours.
Oh my God, that was so stupid.
So stupid.
Yeah.
And then Chris Pine didn't let him win, which I thought was great.
Yeah.
Bless Pine for just playing along.
Any of the the skits that they put in.
Oh yeah, him in a box was fucking idiotic.
Yeah, that was so stupid. Why is that? Why?
The first one where he's just walking down an alley in London or a dirt path in London. oh, Patrick, I didn't know you'd be here. And Patrick's like, you told me to be here. What made you guys decide you had to frame it this way instead of two men meet in a room and talk about Star Trek? Come on.
How the mighty have fallen. Because remember, this is the man who famously directed Star Trek V, The Final Frontier. So to see him go from that feat of directing expertise to this, that's a pretty
I would say he got a good performance out of Shatner in 5.
Yeah.
As the old joke goes.
Because I actually don't think that was the biggest problem with 5, the directing.
It didn't occur to me, I'm not sure if he chose the B role. I want to say he probably didn't, because I feel like that's just too much effort. But I did actually notice, and now I kind of wonder if maybe they picked this on purpose, but one of the cosplayers you see is a really good going down to Shakari Cybok.
Oh, I didn't see that one. That's nice.
Yeah.
There were a few, it's interesting whenever, any show or documentary that is showing clips of a Star Trek convention inevitably shows a few people that have really good, well executed costumes, but they also make it a point to show clips of the people that just have the very half-ass, the Klingon head is stuck on but not well blended. Just the people that kind of half-ass it.
Well, it isn't even necessarily that they're half-assing it. It's just that not everybody has the skill the time or the money,
resources. Yeah,
but they still want to express their love for this thing that has meaning, and I think there's value in that.
I agree,
and I say that as someone who is absolutely dreadful at putting together costumes.
Yeah, we all saw that Gimli beard you made, or you.
I didn't make that. I didn't make that, girl. I bought it.
You put it on your face. That counts.
Of the jokes I actually did enjoy, though, was that they gave Bakula's horse a Chiron. That was kind of funny.
Oh, that's Chiron?
The little, when text pops up kind of in the bottom of the screen like that.
Oh, yeah, he had a name. Yeah, I saw that too, yeah.
Bakula actually seemed to be having fun. The other captains were there because Bill told them to.
Yeah, as I say, so to summarize for me anyway, each of the interviews was Stewart felt just like therapy session between two very broken men.
Yep.
Yeah.
Especially
Mulgrew,
when. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Mulgrew was just very cringe and uncomfortable.
Ditto.
Yeah.
Brooks was absolutely bonkers insane.
My hero.
Yeah.
Pine was Pine here? I don't know.
Pine was barely present.
And then
he was very charming.
Somehow, the Bakula interview ended up, for me anyway, being the most coherent and, I don't know, dare I say, humanizing of these interviews.
Well, I think of all of them, I remember just watching this, see, if they had just written Archer as not a prick, he could have been great. Clearly, Bakula seems like an amiable, cheery guy. If you had just genuinely written him as a wide-eyed, happy explorer who had to come to terms with the fact that the universe wasn't what he thought it was going to be, you might have had a good character.
Yeah.
Well, and especially because who can't relate to that? How many people, who hasn't in their life at one point thought, wow, I didn't know, even if it was just when you were a kid and you realized that, moving out of your parents' house and having to pay bills maybe wasn't the coolest thing ever?
Yeah.
I mean, it's good, don't get me wrong, but, I'm just saying, everybody, I think, has a moment that they could relate to.
Yeah, it's the graduating college and then looking at the world and saying, oh, no, now I have to do this.
Exactly, yes,
now I
that's
don't
the
have
one.
a train track to follow anymore.
I will say, though, sometimes when I'm feeling adulthood, I do go, yeah, but you know what? I don't have fucking homework anymore. And that genuinely always makes me feel so much better. Still,
I loved homework.
I was good at homework, so I don't,
It was just something that just always hung over my head. It was just man, it's
well,
done
that's
now.
Because you obviously didn't just get it done as soon as you got home and just moved on.
Listen,
I'm a fucking
it should all be
professional
making
procrastinator.
dioramas. That should be life.
I actually hated having to make dioramas.
Oh,
I'm no good at that.
Oh man, I made the best dioramas.
Well done, Jake. Perfect.
No, but I actually did. I was the king of dioramas.
I thought you were going to double down and say that you were the king of diarrhea.
I mean, that's implicit.
Speaking of verbal diarrhea, this film. Yeah, no, it was so weird. Again, I think the only person who was warned what was coming was Stewart. And again, he seemed ready to he clearly just wanted to sit down and have this, what's the word I want?
I don't know. Therapy session.
But there's a
catharsis.
Yes, thank you. Oh, thank you. This massive cathartic thing, and like it's so weird because this is now fucking a 13-year-old documentary, and
I was trying to get a beat on how old it was. Thank you for that.
Yeah, it was 2011, so only one of the Kelvin movies had come out at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were probably filming the other one at the time, I would guess.
No, because that wasn't until 2014. They were still trying to decide whether or not they were gonna
2013
have Khan. 13. But yeah, so it's like it's really awkward because you probably figure like Shatner was like what, either in his 80s or pushing 80 at the time. Stewart was older. Like these were probably both men who he said, "Hey, you're gonna still be kicking in 13 years." Might have been like, So like it's sort of two old dudes coming to the end of their life, having this like kind of like with that in the back of your mind, it's like this is all very you know, having these sort of looking back with regret at life kind of thing. You know, the others were barely over middle aged when this was happening, so I don't think they were quite as ready for this like old man help me come to terms with my death thing.
Old man cries at cloud.
Even that, like, it seems so disingenuous because you can tell when they're talking about death, like he, out of fucking nowhere, like Shatner's like, "What do you think about death?" And I'm like, "Where the fuck did this come from, Bill?" And you realize a couple scenes later, it's like, "Oh, I'm 1,000% certain he did this to everybody because he planned it, because he wanted to tell the oh my story from generations."
What a terrible story, and how horribly acted.
Very badly acted.
I wanted it to seem like I saw heaven and I was excited by the adventure. Oh my.
Yeah, we
wow,
didn't get
good,
that, Bill.
good one. Good going, Bill. It didn't come through, Bill, because you're a terrible actor.
Yeah.
I also think that it was cute when he would pretend that the therapy session wasn't for him and he would start saying therapy shit. Like at one point to Stewart, he's like, "Now let's just pause there. Let's examine that." Now, why do you think that?
Because you're a bad interviewer. That's why.
I was like, Shatner, first of all, no. And second of all, man you're speaking to has 100 times your intellect and 1,000 times your talent. He does not need to pause and reflect and explore.
Yeah, it's like, Bill, he has clearly been reflecting for a long-ass time, unlike you. This is a man that's been reflecting for decades. You've been reflecting for, it sounds like, 3 years at most.
Yeah, a couple minutes.
And even then,
before this interview.
It feels like he was reflecting only so this documentary could have an arc.
Yeah.
It felt fabricated when like the story what he's telling, like about how he felt embarrassed at cons and then came around and now he's proud and now he goes to cons all the time. It feels like that he wove that in to because he decided, well, documentaries need like some kind of a through line. That's going to be my through line.
The through line should be William Shatner has a sad.
I mean, I will say of his documentaries, this has a more something closer to representing a coherent, consistent through line than Chaos on the Bridge.
Yeah, but at least I feel like I got more out of Chaos on the Bridge because I learned things about the show. I think the problem with this documentary is how it's marketed in a way, right? Like you think you're going to get like interviews with the actors playing the captains about their experiences playing the captains, and
you think you're going to get anecdotes. And
like the kinds of things that you get at a con when you see. Like, because I don't think any of you have ever been to the Star Trek convention, but like they're basically like the actor, like when you see everybody in those big halls and the actors are on stage talking, like that's what it is. It's just them giving anecdotes about, I remember Walter Koenig talking about how I think on the motion picture there was something they were doing where they put gimbals on the bridge so that they could shake it and everybody would move the same. And he was talking about that and how fun it was and how it actually didn't end up working. But anyway, yeah. So it's like the actors giving anecdotes, and that's what I think when you see the name of the documentary is it's the captains. It's interviews with 5 of the captains of the ships of the shows and Chris Pine. You're thinking, oh, okay, we're gonna get some cool behind the scenes tidbits, but instead you just get this kind of like depressing, existential reflection.
And honestly, that even maybe could have been interesting in the hands of a better interviewer.
Well, I wouldn't say he was even like these aren't even interviews. These are filmed conversations that are edited very bizarrely so that like Shatner ends up saying the most.
Yeah.
It's almost like that old, you know how they always said like Shatner and Nimoy had it in their contracts that whatever one got, the other one had to get. It's almost like when he agreed to do this documentary, he's like, okay, but whatever the interview subjects get to do, I also get to do, and I get to do more of it.
Oh, speaking of Nimoy, Bill wanted to get Nimoy in this, and Nimoy declined. Because technically he was a captain in Wrath of Khan.
True.
Yeah. Well, and also, like, of all the people you'd want to hear from, and like of all of the relationships that I'd kind of be interested in seeing in this sort of intimate way, would be Shatner and Nimoy. Like, I think just a...
But they don't like each other.
Yeah, I was going to say, same, but...
But, well, it sounds like they did. Like, they were very close friends for many, many years. And then what I understand from what I heard Shatner said, and again, it could be bullshit, but is that they had a falling out not long before Nimoy died. And Shatner said that, like, one of my greatest regrets in life is having not mended fences with Leonard Nimoy before he died.
I wonder if this documentary had anything to do with that, because all I saw on like IMDb was a little tiny anecdote that was probably out of his memoir, saying that Nimoy got really angry with him when Bill was doing some filming at a convention that Nimoy was also at, and Nimoy thought, is he going to put me in his documentary without my permission? And they had a fight about it, and then they both left without saying anything else to each other.
Wow.
Maybe.
Yeah, it could be. Maybe this documentary is why they were not friends toward the end.
Which would suck, because this isn't even a good documentary.
No,
yeah, really. Imagine like losing one of your oldest, dearest because you...
Well, the impression I'm under, though, is that their friendship ebbed and flowed over the decades.
I don't imagine... I imagine that's probably true of anyone that has a relationship with Shatner. Unless you just completely...
Unless you're doing, in which case you never liked him.
Yeah. Here's the thing, though. Like, I think William Shatner told us in this fucking documentary why he and Spock, he and Nimoy, like, didn't remain good friends, and that's because he is so obviously, like, overwhelmed with jealousy for the accolades that Nimoy was getting for being a way better fucking actor and having a more interesting role. Like, imagine that you're the director of this documentary and you show the world your entire asshole like this, and you're like, yep, it sure did bum me out when Nimoy got all these nods and I didn't get anything. That really sucked.
I just got beam me up, Scotty.
Well, I also think that there's a self-awareness and a vulnerability in saying that in the documentary and leaving it in.
You think there's self-awareness there?
I think there is. I think I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt and say that there is.
Wow, sell it to me. Make me go on.
So, play that piano, Jake.
But everyone knows that the best Star Trek documentary is Galaxy Quest. And and that is sort of Tim Allen's Lament, right?
So you think Shatner's just trying to be Tim Allen in this?
No, I think that he is. I think that Tim Allen was being a very good Shatner.
That's very true. He was
because like.
Man, Tim Allen should have been in this.
And there's something meta about that too, because I don't think any of us would say that Tim Allen is some fine actor.
Not at all.
He's Tim the Tool Man, and that's about
or Santa Claus.
Oh, he's good. I like him in Santa Claus.
I never saw it. All I know about that movie is it's a movie where a man accidentally murders Santa and then has to become him.
Okay, here's the thing. I think that murder is kind of a little bit strong, because literally he sees Santa on his roof and goes, "Hey!" And Santa goes, "Oh!" and falls off. So I don't really. I mean, it's like negligent manslaughter at the worst, and even then, I don't think he could really be.
Yeah, he did have a witness.
Imagine though, if like in our criminal justice system, if that were a punishment for negligent homicide.
Becoming Santa Claus for the rest of eternity?
Whatever job that person had is now your job.
Oof.
Oh, I don't like that.
Congratulations, John Wilkes Booth.
Yay!
You're the president.
I wouldn't exactly call that negligent homicide, though.
No, but now I'm considering it for any homicide.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no.
That's fair.
So you're thinking of like any like accidental death type of thing.
I mean, that's actually how it works in the Mirror universe, Chris, as we've seen.
True. Anyway, sorry, you were going to make a point about Tim Allen and Galaxy Quest and Shatner.
Oh, I don't know if I was going to make a point. I was just going to talk about it.
Fair. It's a good fucking movie.
No, I mean, I don't know.
We don't make points in this show.
Like, the Lament of Shatner,
That's what they should have been called.
Shatner's Lament.
About how, how he was, not as respected as an actor as Leonard Nimoy. And then also, all of the moments about him making sure, like another big theme in this documentary was, oh, I'm actually a serious theater actor. Don't you know? Right.
Yeah,
right. He had to go on and on with everybody about, we're all classically trained theater actors.
You could have fooled me because Bill said he had like radio play experience. And I was like, after TAS, I fucking doubt that.
Yeah. Well, again, I think he phoned in performances, right?
I think the thing that like, I wish, no, I don't. I almost just said, I wish I had time to watch this again. I mean, I do. I have so much time to watch this again, and yet I have no time to watch this again. But I wish that I could, like, watch the segments, like, with each captain again in order, because I feel like maybe he was, like, driving at something different in every case. Like, with Bakula, it felt like Bakula was, like, really inspired by him. So, like, Bakula was, like, the protege, and then I felt like with Patrick Stewart, he was just like begging him to like tell him he was a good actor because Patrick Stewart is incredible and Shatner really wanted him to be like, oh, you were the guiding light for everyone. Oh, sorry, that's not my Patrick Stewart impression. You were the guiding light for everyone who played a starship captain.
In a while.
Shuck it, Trebek. Shuck it long, shuck it hard.
Exactly. So, so I feel like that was the case. With Mulgrew, the theme was just like women shouldn't be Starfleet captains or president of the United States or anything else. And I think with with Chris Pine, it was just, look how hot I was in the 60s. I looked just like this.
Yeah.
You know?
Arm wrestle like this.
And then finally with Avery Brooks, I don't know if the point was, I'm not the most crazy person that ever played the captain, or if it was like, look how deep I am because I can rap with this crazy man about, so I think it was, look how inspiring I am. Look what a great actor I am. Look how much more superior I am by being a man. Look how beautiful I used to be. And also, look how deep and intellectual I am because I can roll with Avery Brooks who's out of his mind.
I can improv jazz.
Yeah. Oh my God, and it was terrible. And my favorite part about that was when Avery Brooks kept being like, no. And then he would sing something and Shatner would try again and he would be like, no.
Yeah,
Bill, you cannot roll with Avery Brooks.
You're not good. But like really though, like, do you feel like is there any truth to what I've just said? Could I prove this thesis? Like, I kind of feel like
I didn't think of it that way myself, but it makes sense with you saying it. Yes.
Yeah, there was no doubt that this was a fully self-serving project.
Oh, 100%.
And he definitely like used every single one of his subjects to make himself. To tell the story of himself. And even when it's, like, exposing things about him, it's because he's trying to get that story out to, like, suck the audience in to be like, oh, wow, I didn't realize, Bill Shatner was so humanized and that, he felt so deeply. He lost, I don't know how many wives during this process. Might have been just the one. I know Stewart lost.
Like, just couldn't find them. Like, just irresponsibly.
Stewart
like, not like
two, which is bizarre.
Well, I will say, I don't know how long this was after that, but I know he had had a divorce, and then one of his wives actually drowned in their pool.
Oh my God, that sucks.
Yeah.
No, that's pretty
terrible.
Awful.
Yeah, and big news at the time.
Listen to Chris. Chris's favorite joke to say after this is, and I know he didn't murder her because the anguish in his voice when he calls 911 is too real to be Shatner trying to act.
I wasn't going to say that for once.
I know he didn't murder her because he didn't become her like in the Santa Claus.
That's true.
No, I don't know, because after she died, did Shatner not have to take care of himself, which, as we know, is probably Shatner's wife's job, is take care of Shatner.
I'm also curious because, like, I know there are moments when Stewart is saying, I don't know if I'll get married again. 2 years later, he gets married again to a girl who's, half his age.
To a hot pair of tits. He sure did.
He did it.
Yeah.
Good on.
I love the pictures of him just staring at her boobs. Like, I think it's disgusting, but I love it. I'm just like, good. Live your best life, my man. Live your best life, my man.
It's like, I mean, at least she was, well, like...
Yeah, half his age is still 75, so...
it's not like when an actor who's, like, in their 40s is suddenly dating a woman who's 18, and it's like, there's no way you weren't dating before her 18th birthday, you fucking creep.
Gross. There's no way her parents didn't sell her to you in bondage when she was 16.
Yeah. But yeah, like the thing that my takeaway from this was like, wow, I really want someone to do this again without Shatner. It was
or with someone interviewing him instead, so that
no,
they're
I don't need to
actually
hear from
finding
him
the
anymore.
story. You can't do the captains without the first captain.
No, you know how you do? You wait till he dies. And then it can be a celebration of what we have left.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, the interesting thing is that, like, since I saw an interesting quote from Shatner the other day, a recent quote.
Oh, yeah. Interesting.
But it's about how, so as you all remember, perhaps he went up in the Jeff Bezos's penis ship into space.
Oh, yeah.
I forgot about that.
Changed his outlook, he claims.
Yeah, and like the quote was really, I guess, poignant in a way, where he's basically saying, yeah, I spent my whole life as, a starship captain, but then when I was up there and realized how fucking precious Earth is and how I just had this sense of dread that, we just live in this like infinitesimal oasis of life in a field of endless death. That,
Jesus,
like,
calm down, Carl Urban.
There's nothing about space that would ever make me want to go there. It doesn't inspire a sense of exploration or excitement. We just need to stay here on Earth and take care of it because there's nothing else. It's all death.
Oh my God.
And it's like, oh my God, Bill. So
what you're saying is we're going to be getting the Captains 2 soon because he's got to work through this now.
Yeah, there's some like serious, like Shatner had a serious existential crisis in space, I think.
Yeah,
he's probably shitting his pants. He was like, oh my God, I'm 93 years old and I'm going to fucking die on this fucking
mud ball
tin can that Jeff Bezos cobbled together.
Or that. But yeah, I guess what I say is, to my point is that, not that I necessarily need the captains, but like, I just kind of want to know more about the other actors now. Because again, I didn't know.
Yeah,
like, I
we didn't get a lot from
about
them.
Stewart. I realized I know nothing about Mulgrew outside of like her, Voyager and that episode of Murder, She Wrote I've seen.
Yeah, I love when she was trying to like tell an anecdote about like her life, and Bill kept cutting her off until she she basically had to say, "Shut up! I'm telling a story here."
Yeah, like I want to hear about how she like went to New York, dropped out of school, hid that from her family while becoming an actor. Like that's interesting. I really want he's been giving like Star Trek sites and such have been like haranguing Bakula more lately because unfortunately, like unlike me where I thought maybe Enterprise was better than I thought, but I've come around, a lot of people are thinking it's better than they thought and not coming around.
Yeah.
Oh.
So he's been like kind of making the rounds again in Star Trek spheres, and he always talks very politely and kindly about the show, but I would love to get someone to get him to be very earnest because you felt him kind of glancing off like
yes.
Yeah.
He was halfway there in this interview for sure.
Yeah, it's like, say it, Scott. Say what pissed you off, please.
Because he was like, yeah, like, we just didn't have those relationships that you had. We had a great crew, but we never captured that magic that you guys had. Like, I was like, oh, you're so close to saying something I really want to hear.
What did you want to hear? What did you want to hear?
Just anything. I wanted
terrible?
the dirt. I wanted him to say like, me and the other actors shat on the scripts every week because we were like, oh, great, again, we're going to get fucking canceled. I would love to know that they knew that they were on a terrible show. I don't really want them to know that, but
I think they knew it at the time, but Bakula certainly seems to, at least in this, recognize that there was some serious flaws with that show.
The thing is, I don't think the flaws that they think they had with the show are the flaws that we think they had with the show.
Possibly not.
Because I'm sure what they thought was they didn't have the support that they needed to create a show that, had the Star Trek name, which for the first 2 seasons it didn't.
Right.
I mean, the thing is, I feel like in a way they didn't probably have the support. And the problem is the lack of support was coming from inside the house.
Yeah.
Obviously, Paramount didn't have any faith, but they've never had faith in Star Trek. But
how ironic to have a theme song of this one be Faith of the Heart, and yet they had none.
See,
not
here's
what I
the
was
thing,
going
though,
for.
like, it's a bummer because, they had the DS9 documentary. Theoretically, we're going to have a Voyager documentary soon.
Yeah, it's taking forever.
Yeah.
It better be beautiful.
The DS9 one did too, for that matter. And I actually do think it's possible there could be a very interesting Enterprise documentary, except that they've needed, I'm pretty sure, at least for for the DS9 documentary, they remastered a bunch of like the original, like they got a hold of like original negatives and were able to do a full remaster on certain clips.
Oh,
and I think
wow.
they're doing the same with the Voyager documentary.
Oh, is that why it's taking so long?
Probably. But in order to get that access, they need like the permission, obviously, of CBS, who owns it. Yeah. And then also they probably need the involvement of people like Berman, to like sign off on it. So it's interesting that like I don't think we'd ever get a documentary like that where it took a real critical eye at the production team, because I think that's kind of what, like, I really do want to see a documentary with interviews with Bakula, with with all of them, right? Because I'm sure they all have, Blaylock also, like, especially even Blaylock, right, where they're just like shitting on it and like letting it all hang out.
What
about
I've got to
what
do
happened
is
on that show.
I've got to bind enough visitors. I think she wrote a book on this.
Oh, I think it
Am
just
I
came out.
nuts? Did it just come out?
She wrote a book on Enterprise?
Well, no, she wrote a book on like the women in Star Trek and how they had to deal with people like Berman.
Oh my God, no way!
She talked to a bunch of them too. So
yeah, let me look
that
it
would have
up.
been a better documentary than this.
I want to see the women. I want to see that.
It's only in
documentary.
hardcover. I don't want hardcover.
It'll come out on paperback soon.
A woman's Trek?
Yeah.
I want to see a Star Trek documentary where it's just, I want it to be hosted by Sirtis.
Yes.
And I want her to interview all of the women. Unfortunately, like most of the TOS women are no longer with us, but at least from TNG onward about all the shit. In fact, let's just do Berman Trek women. We'll just do like Gace McFadden, Nana, Terry Farrell.
Yep. Gates,
Nicole
McFadden, Denise Crosby.
Denise Crosby.
7 and 9.
Chase Masterson.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, honestly though, I would take an Enterprise documentary without the official footage, just so you could get the actors to be really brutally honest.
See, that's the thing. I don't know what you want them to be really brutally honest, but I don't know if all of them like have the same thoughts that you're thinking they should have.
Oh no, that's the thing. I want to know what their thoughts are.
Yeah.
Okay. So you don't want them to just tear Berman apart, even though I'm pretty sure a lot of them like Berman.
They probably do.
Which is so weird. But
except Blaylock, who shouldn't.
But I think there's dirt there, right? Like whether it's shitting on Berman or not, I want the inside scoop. I want to know why that show shit the bed so hard. Yeah,
like I want those sort of like, because again, like this is the closest I've ever heard Bakula come to being more than just polite about the show, and even this was still very polite and guarded and diplomatic. Like, even if he has what I would feel is the wrong opinion about why it was bad, I want to know why they thought it was bad. Like, that would fascinate me. Also, sidebar, this is my first time hearing Connor Trenier without the accent, and it was fucking weird.
Isn't it weird? Yeah, we saw him in a couple different shows of the era, and it's like, who the fuck is this? Oh my God, it's Connor Trenier. Why does he sound like that?
Yeah, it's so strange. You're like, wait, it's like, what? Stop lying. Use your real voice.
Captain.
Yeah, I still have to listen to his podcast.
But yeah, I want to know so much more about all these people now, especially, I think Mulgrew actually wrote a memoir not long ago. I should pick up a copy. Especially in light of Prodigy. She genuinely might be my favorite captain now because of that. Like, she was already up there, and then that show, it's like, fuck, she's great. So yeah, I mean, if nothing else, it did succeed in that. It made me think, fuck, I have got to learn more about these other actors, because Shatner's just sort of edging you the whole time, Yeah. It's like, they're about to tell an interesting fuck, Bill, stop fucking talking.
Yeah, speaking of interesting things, I think one factoid that I liked was that Shatner was Christopher Plummer's understudy and had to replace him in a performance.
That's cool, yeah.
Yeah, I already knew that. I'm surprised I never brought it up tediously.
I mean, for all I know, it did come up in like the Star Trek VI conversation, but I don't remember.
Yeah, they go way back, those two.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Which is kind of nice, and they seem to generally have a good relationship. Which is good. Again,
I'd love to see someone let him talk about Star Trek VI for a while.
Well, that's not going to happen now, unfortunately.
Oh yeah, fuck.
Yeah, the other weird anecdote that Shatner brings up, like fucking at the very beginning of the documentary, and it was off-putting, was he's like, oh yes, I'm going to start talking about the Holocaust now. I was in a play about the Holocaust when I was 6. But then if you do the math, that doesn't actually work.
Yeah, he was born in 31. There wouldn't be a play about the Holocaust in 1937 in Canada.
Whoa!
I don't think.
People on the internet, because I looked for like the hottest second into this, and they posit that they wonder if he was talking about Kristallnacht, which may and also that he was older than he claimed he was.
Yeah,
he may have been
probably,
like 8, 10.
I think he was older than he claims he was, but also maybe it was something else. Maybe it was like the Bolsheviks or something.
Yeah, one of the many
remembering it.
Yeah, there could have been. I mean, there had already been, sadly, so many pogroms by then in Russia. Like, yeah. I don't doubt that a little Shatner may have, because it was like some sort of like summer camp thing. It may have specifically been like a Jewish summer camp kind of thing. Even like I could totally see him having been in some sort of play about. Because that's the thing. I mean, unfortunately, the Jewish people have a long history of people fucking with them. So he's probably misremembering what exactly the subject matter was, and maybe he was a little older, but there totally was definitely something he could have been in the 30s about something bad happening to the Jewish people.
To Jews. Yeah, exactly. I don't the fact that he specifically said it's about the Holocaust, I'm like, yeah, I don't think they really knew about that in 1937 in Canada.
Didn't even occur to me when he was saying it.
As soon as he said it, I was like, oh, that doesn't quite line up, does it?
Which is like, that is a through line that would have maybe been, I've heard him sort of address his religion. Like, I don't know if he's a religious man, but I mean, it's part of his background at least. Like, once he talked about it in an interview I saw, and like, here he's kind of, again, glancing off this idea of like, it wasn't just, he made people feel something, and like his father connected with him, and I don't think it was just because he was acting into that. Like, clearly it was because it was also touching on this part of his heritage that, like, and I don't know how important it is to him, Yeah. But it obviously informs, a lot about his life and his way of being.
Yeah, that's something that's almost interesting to me, and I don't know if it's as interesting as I think it would be. Just to wonder, like, because, it's clear that Avery Brooks was talking about God an awful lot, and, like, what do people involved in Star Trek who have a religious background think about Star Trek, a show that tells them that their gods are aliens?
Well, and the thing is, with any of them, like, they never even got into, like, we don't know if any of them are talking about God in the capital G Christian sense, even. I mean, the way Brooks was talking, God, if he said
God
he
is
meant
jazz.
Earth, I'd have believed him.
God is jazz.
Bakula didn't get into it, but sounded like he was sort of going for more of a vaguely California spiritual thing without committing to any particular doctrine.
Was Bakula the one that was talking about energy?
Yeah, he was into like the spiritualism.
That's ancient Sumerian type shit.
Fair enough. So we know that Bakula is into
aliens. He's probably very comfortable with aliens being gods.
Yeah. I like that, Caitlin.
No, I mean really, because that's basically what that's all about,
Well,
he's one of those Sumerian conspiracy weirdos. I'd believe that.
How have we managed to talk for an hour about this shit?
I'm glad, because I thought this was going to be like a super shorty, but we found some good stuff to talk about.
Oh, you guys, it's just like, what the fuck is this? What?
I did not know it was going to be this insane. Like, I knew Avery Brooks was going to be as insane as he is.
Yeah.
Actually, I wanted to take a hot second, because I know this is something Jake was probably going to be interested in talking about. And that's that the composer of the documentary, Andy Milne, worked with Avery Brooks for years. So when when Avery was talking with Bill about music a lot, too much, he says, "Oh, I've got a guy for you if you need a composer."
Oh no!
And that's where we got this terrible, terrible background music for all the scenes.
It was. I mean, I don't know if it was like, okay. I had a lot of issues with the backing music because one, they didn't really fit.
No, the tone was never right.
The tone, yeah, it didn't. It wasn't like it was. It didn't feel like it was composed for this. The fact that it sounds insane to me because I would just assume that they found some royalty-free piano music and were like, let's just throw that in there. And then whoever did the audio mix was like, should we make the dialogue like louder than the background music? And they're like, nah,
they should be
same
equal.
volume. They should be equal. We want to, because this, it's like we're making music,
Yeah, I also noticed how loud it was. It
was so loud.
It eventually seemed to just blend with everything else, but at first it was very distracting.
And then I liked how at the end, or toward the end, they're like, you know what? Let's just play 2 songs at the same time. And they had this scene where they were playing their weird background piano music and Picard playing the flute.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
At
what
the
fuck?
same time, playing different songs that weren't complimenting each other.
No, a good composer would have worked it in, but this guy didn't fucking bother.
Or just not had background music to music.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. It was a choice, Bill. It was a choice.
Strong but wrong.
Very wrong. Yeah, I gotta admit, like, I went into this, like, trying to be open-minded, but also being very aware of the fact that, like, this is Shatner. And I remembered what a fucking mess Chaos on the Bridge was. And it was so much worse than I was expecting.
It had all those weird little gimmicks with the art, I remember, in Chaos on the Bridge.
Yeah, and
that one was a mess, too.
And it tried to have, like, 3 different through lines and kind of abandoned all of them.
But it was more interesting, at least.
It was more informative. Like, we learned, and, like, the Talking Head interviews gave us some valuable, like, insight.
Well, it was more informative, but it was also just, like, let's a bunch of people just totally flog a dead man for an hour and a half, which was very... Yeah,
is that where we got all the weirdly anti-Semitic shit, too?
Yes,
because that was interesting.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, we did. That was weird.
But yeah, like, that one, again, like, Gene Roddenberry was far from a perfect person, but this was, again, just, like, people shitting on a dead man without anyone there really, like, there was, like, one assistant who, like, kind of tried to defend him, but...
Oh, because she was fucking him.
No, it was a guy.
Oh, it was a guy. Okay. I know that. I know.
Him.
Yeah,
possibly.
probably also fucking him.
Yeah, I know.
But,
I know
like,
one of his assistants he had an affair with. So.
Yeah,
and Nichelle
no,
Nichols.
This was
and.
I remember there was some guy who was like occasionally tried to say something else, but they like gave him no time they cut most of what he had to say clearly. But so it just left a really unpleasant taste in one's mouth. And again, it's like I didn't want it to be just unbridled praise for the man, but Jesus fucking Christ, temper it a little. And there was like almost no acknowledgement that like he was probably deeply unwell at the time and all this. Like Shatner doesn't make a good documentary.
No.
No.
You know what he would be good at, though? And I
Nothing?
realized this while we were... No, I have the perfect role for him. It's just unfortunate that he'll never be able to have it. Everything about him, like, it was funny because before watching it, I was discussing with Dave and he was like, yeah, I really don't like William Shatner. Like, he's like pompous and arrogant and he's full of shit and he's all this stuff. And he basically said that he was a lot like Trump. And then as I was watching the documentary, I thought, man... It's too bad that he's like 20 years older than Donald Trump because
he's also
William
Canadian.
Shatner, huh?
He's also Canadian.
Well, it doesn't matter. No, not that. But basically, I think that if William Shatner was like 30 years younger, he would be perfect for a Trump biopic, and not just any Trump biopic, but like a Trump biopic that really shows you exactly what a reprehensible piece of shit Donald Trump is.
Oh, I like that idea.
Shatner is the perfect thing because
he's so oblivious.
Donald Trump.
Well, yeah, I could also see him doing this, making it a musical biopic, and it's spoken word jazz that Shatner's doing as Trump with a hairpiece. He has to wear a hairpiece.
I mean, there's no way that hair is real. I mean, either of their hair.
I mean,
Trump's is real insofar as it was transplanted from another part of his body, but it's not real insofar as it's not naturally occurring.
I also think that Shatner's hair is transplanted. Yeah. I don't think it was a piece because you could see scalp through it. So if it's a piece, it was a pretty good one. Yeah,
back in the day, it was a piece, but at some point he might have got hair plugs.
I think he did, yeah.
I think once he started trimming it short again, like, because he was like, oh, there's actually hair here. So it doesn't have to be all long and curly anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what else is a crying shame is I remember when we covered What We Left Behind, the DS9 documentary, that it kind of soured me on Avery Brooks a little bit because one of the like special scenes that they have in like the special features was Renee Auberjonois saying there were points where he did not get along with Avery Brooks because Avery Brooks is a psychopath. And like he was just, you didn't get a lot of the story because A, they put in the special features, and B, because you didn't get Avery Brooks' side of the story because he refused to be involved. So I wanted to be like, okay, good. I'll have this documentary so I at least get some of Avery Brooks' side of nope, he's just a madman.
Yeah.
Well, wow, he is a psychopath. Maybe Rene Auberjonois.
Shatner wasn't going to ask him anyway.
Was there anything like? Because the thing is, he didn't make sentences really. Avery
he made
Brooks
jazz
in this.
No,
and
my God.
I was trying to think. Was there anything that he said in this that was coherent or that approached a coherent, complete thought? Because I didn't get it. If there was,
I think there was one moment because one of the questions Shatner asked everyone was like, "How did you feel getting this role?" And he had a couple things to say about how it was interesting to him playing a character who starts off so low, like having lost his wife, having to go to this station he doesn't want to go to,
right? Raising a kid by himself,
having to talk to a man who he blames for his wife's death, all this stuff. And that was, I think, the one moment of sense that Avery Brooks had.
You're right.
And
that's exactly right.
And it's interesting because that was one of the first scenes, I think, with Avery Brooks.
Yeah.
And then it was all just nonsense after that. So I completely forgot that had.
Bill asks him, "What do you think about death?" And he just plays the piano for 5 minutes. Oh, I see what you mean about death. And smiling manically.
Yeah, and like mugs the camera a bunch. I'm just like, what is happening? What is going on here?
It was so uncomfortable.
I think
go ahead.
I think to an extent he was definitely fucking with Bill, because there is one point where he's looking towards the camera and definitely hugely rolls his eyes. And it's like, wow.
He might be reading into that. That might just be him being a nutcase.
Yeah,
no, but it was definitely like a here we go again. Like, Bill missed that when he chose to put that in the edit.
Well, I don't know if this is quite possibly pulled out of some internet user's ass and has absolutely no basis in truth, so I preface this with that. But I did see in one Reddit thread, because I had to look it up, like, what do people think about this? Yeah. Somebody said that they had seen somewhere else, so again, unreliable source here.
Oh, yeah.
Third or fourth hand.
That Avery Brooks was originally not contacted to participate, and
in this documentary,
what? And like was found and somehow found out about it later and got involved and was pissed off about it and was specifically just angry that he hadn't been included from the beginning. But again, I have no idea if that's remotely true, and I even hesitate to bring it up since it might be complete bullshit.
Yeah, if true, that makes no sense, because how do you do the captains without one of the captains?
Yeah.
Maybe it's like, oh, no, he was the captain of a station. He started off a commander. It doesn't count.
Yeah, but if General Plumber counts. Yeah, it's right. Possible that was a game of telephone where, like, maybe at first he turned it down and they just kept harassing him to be in it.
Yeah,
it does seem
or there was
weird.
like a miscommunication somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah. Like Shatner strikes me as a lot of things, but not stupid enough to leave out the one black guy on purpose.
Oof. I have a question. Does anybody else get the feeling that the only reason that they showed Apple Annie for whatever fucking reason?
Yeah, what was that?
Okay, I think it's to make Avery Brooks look less crazy.
That was the most.
God.
That was the most. Like, okay.
That was so fucked up. There's
more
no
complete
way.
Sentences, though.
Like
I'm just saying, there's no way that like she could have consented to having her like.
No, and she obviously had no idea who William Shatner was.
No fucking
clue. Which was hilarious.
Or what was happening, and yet like what was that?
I don't know what that
was. This poor woman who's clearly
so awkward,
homeless and mentally ill,
and we're
probably homeless. I guess I don't know that she's unhoused, but that's my assumption.
But, like, not someone who should be exploited for William Shatner's ego. Basically
obviously not. Right.
Why were they filming? He was wandering the streets of New York.
So much of this movie seems to be William Shatner wandering around in hopes that somebody will go, "Oh my God, it's William Shatner."
Yeah.
And
That's
when that
probably
didn't
just
happen,
his
he
life all the
harassed this
time, you
woman.
know?
Like I was saying, he was probably shooting some B-roll. This woman came up to them, be like, "What the hell are you doing?" And they were like, "She seems fun. Let's film her and put it in our
But then they kept
unhinged." Not even documentary. That is such a misuse of the word. This old man's late life crisis journal.
It's pretty embarrassing.
Put Bill back in that cardboard box.
Like,
That's where
Leave
he
him on the
fucking
side of the
belongs.
road in New York.
I really
Yeah.
thought there was going to be a point.
Nope.
I really did.
I mean,
I thought,
so did I. But
I thought they were going to reveal like context, like who she is.
Yep.
But no,
like she's a street
rando.
actor, and it's just a character she's playing.
I thought it was going to be a
Something.
character
Like
she's
they're
playing
outside
too.
Broadway or something. Like I wanted there to be something, and not just like, haha, look at this mentally ill woman. Isn't it cute?
yeah, it's so fucking weird.
It was really uncomfortable. I felt really bad for her, and everything about this was so terrible.
I think the key, we've now watched, 4 documentaries.
3 documentaries and whatever this is.
3 documentaries in this journal. And the one good one was made by fans. And I think that's why it's the good one. Like, yeah, the 2
It
were
also
made
had
by
funding. Like what we left behind had funding.
True. But like Shatner, like, is just an egomaniac weirdo. And Trekkies, I don't know who made that, but it had nothing but disdain for its subject matter.
Yeah.
Trekkies 2 was a little bit better.
You said that, yeah. Which is...
We haven't watched that yet, have we?
I think I made it optional for you guys to watch it for that 10 forward. But Jake and I did, so we filled you in on...
Yeah, it doesn't add a lot, but it does...
It's kinder.
It's kinder. It's less gawking.
Yeah.
I think we may have even said this at the time. I think the biggest problem with Trekkies is that when it came out in the 90s,
yeah,
it was not... Fandoms in general were kind of objects of ridicule and
they picked the weirdest people to interview.
And they picked the weirdest people to interview because like the point of the documentary at that time was look at how goofy these Star Trek fans are. But now, like, fandoms are a thing, and like
for various things.
Corporations realized they could make good money off of them.
But like, like you have the Star Wars nuts, you have the Harry Potter nuts, the Marvel
MCU,
people.
Yeah.
And you have like Star Trek is now the least weird of the fandoms probably.
Yeah, there was a comment early in this film thing where I think Shatner calls Star Trek the most profitable franchise.
I wondered about that.
I'm curious if that was even true at the time, but it's definitely now I feel like it's gotta be Marvel.
Marvel or Star Wars?
I mean, Star it can't be Star Wars. Star Wars is tiny compared to Marvel, I think.
Yeah, that's true.
But Star Wars has such a huge head start. Like, Marvel's been around since the 60s, yes, but Star Wars was a massive, like, merchandise machine before. Like, that film invented modern merchandising. So, like, they've been making
Lucas
money.
Knew how to build toys.
Yeah, like, they've been making that merchandising money for so much longer than Marvel that it might still balance out, especially when you consider, like, again, the shit tons of toys, the fuck ton of video games, the books, the goddamn avalanche of books since the 80s,
books,
if not
comics,
earlier.
Books.
Like, even with Marvel making so much money and all that, like, they went borderline bankrupt in the 90s, whereas Star Wars, like, was consistently making money. So I think they're probably, if anything, neck and neck, and they both belong to Disney now. So fuck all of us. But yeah, I doubt Star Trek is the most profitable.
No, I don't think Star Trek's. I doubt it's even third place behind those two.
Oh yeah. No, I fucking Indiana Jones probably has more money.
Yeah, I was gonna say it probably is Harry Potter, right?
Like,
yeah, that's probably right. I would honestly be surprised. Lord of the Rings is probably up there.
That one again, like, that one's interesting. It's hard to say because, again, the books have been around for 1,000 years, but they really didn't become mainstream until the movies.
But they've sold merchandise of everything. I think the difference for me is that things like Star Wars, Harry Potter, and Lord of the Rings get, like, huge, like, collaborative efforts with established brands.
Like
sections every
of them
brand has a Harry Potter something.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, just look at like Lego, right?
Yeah, I was just
Like,
going to say, they
Lego
collab
for
with Lego.
sure. But
like
they don't have. But there's no Star Trek Lego.
There is
there?
no Star Trek. No, there isn't.
There's Star Wars, and there's Lord of the Rings,
there's
and
the
Marvel.
German, the Blue Bricks.
That's right.
thing.
My Deep Space Nine that you got.
Yeah,
me,
for some reason,
that I still have to build.
Paramount signed their contract with the German also ran instead.
Well, it's probably because, like, honestly, Lego didn't see the profitability in that doing that tie-in, right? Obviously, Star Wars Lego goes gangbusters.
Yeah.
Harry Potter Lego goes gangbusters. Marvel
so much
Lego.
so that they have games of Legos, like Lego Lord of the Rings.
Let's make a video
Lego
game, but make the characters in the video game Legos, but they're also like these franchise characters.
That stuff blows my mind.
I also imagine, and this is not like, this sounds like a dig, it's not, but like, I feel like it's probably a little easier to turn most of the like Star Wars stuff into Lego. Because like a lot of the ships, because they're kind of meant to be kind of more utilitarian, are like squatter and blockier, and give them a nacelle strut out of Lego is going to be like Voyager works because she's kind of, she's kind of flat and has those like little like kind of winglets. A Constitution class nacelle strut in Lego is going to be so fragile no matter how careful you are. So it's like turning those into sturdy Lego would be a fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
So it's also just not a good meeting of form and factor.
But yeah, aside the point of just Lego, I mean, I think in the 90s, like they even showed in this doc to tie it back to what we were supposed to be talking about. You know, Picardo is there at the con, like looking at the action figures, which was cute.
It was cute, and Bob is adorable.
But like in the 90s, they actually did a really solid job, I think, of merchandising Star Trek. You know, there were tons of action figures. Tons of
books like Star Wars.
Books, play sets, models, like just everything. And I gotta give CBS some shit here because they have not properly merchandised Star Trek since the 90s.
The fact that the only plushy Murph was at that con is bullshit.
Yeah.
And I have one.
And I think there might be, if not already soon, an officially licensed Moopsie. I'm not sure.
All right, because the one you got was
it was like
on the internet
some like
somewhere.
Timu thing, right?
She's adorable, and I love her.
Yeah, she's super adorable. You know, and I know that they did have Prodigy action figures, but
they didn't have Rock.
They didn't release the full set. I don't know if they will or have at this point, but they only released like half the characters and like didn't promote it. I just randomly found that they had Doll, which came with a Murph, which is why I bought that one.
You should buy the other ones too, so they can be friends.
Yeah, but there's no Rock, so what's the point?
That's a good point. I know. God damn it.
Maybe someone will do a 3D printable model. I was
gonna say someone's gotta come to the rescue there.
Jake,
but anyway,
but at least you got Murph.
We do have Murph. But yeah, so anyway, there's like, and I get it. A lot of the shows are intended to be more adult, so like.
But adults buy this shit now.
Who's gonna want, you know, Michael Burnham with integrated crying hanky accessory?
Wow.
Oh my god! If it was the 90s, there definitely would have been a like Saru figure where you lift his arm and the little like spikes would come out of his ears.
That would be pretty cool. But then again,
and you can maybe shoot them out too.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
It was a cool character trait 100%. That they totally nerfed after one season. Never mind.
They did, yeah. We'll get to that.
We'll get to
that.
Yeah,
but then he learned how to love.
Jesus.
I know.
Oh my god. Oh, fuck. I am grateful they found someone to take up the Eagle Moss banner because I will now get my Voyager A and Protostar models.
Yay!
Yeah, that is nice.
Because I pretty much had all the models I wanted except those ones.
Yeah, and
now
those
they're
strips
back.
are beautiful.
Because let's
I
be
had
honest,
all the ones I wanted, plus about 40 I didn't.
like Eagle Moss was definitely starting to scrape the bottom of the barrel. Like they literally released like the ships from the opening credits of Enterprise that aren't actually in the show.
Wow.
Literally, they released those. Like, okay, you're running out of stuff.
You gave me the Chekhov, which shows up in like one battle scene in one movie.
Way in the background somewhere, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, merchandising is not...
Merchandising.
Jake tried to pull us back. We are clearly running out of steam on this disaster. Final thoughts?
I have one note. Damn it.
No, go.
Okay. I have one. Well, it's a stupid note, but it's funny. And that's that baby that they were showing at the convention was clearly being O'Brien.
I didn't notice the baby.
Just like him.
Oh, wow.
I'd say I gotta go back and check, but I don't want to watch this ever again.
I'd say I'm gonna go back and check, but I know I'm lying.
Well, just picture Colomini and you're done.
There was a random, it went completely unacknowledged because, like Shatner talked to Jerry Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
We saw Robert Picardo. He got a Chiron. And then there's like in the B-roll of the convention, there's just a random 2-second shot of Chase Masterson.
Yeah, there was.
And I'm just wondering, did they know who that was, or did they think that was just a fan? Because
I think a lot of them had signs saying who they were, so...
Well, I mean, who's they? Like Shatner? Because I'm sure he has no idea who Chase Masterson is.
I don't know. Whoever was actually making the documentary, right?
Who was that old guy they showed at one point? I tried to rewind to see his sign, but it cut away too fast.
Old guy.
He was right after the woman from MASH.
Are you just being funny? Was it William Shatner?
No.
It was somebody at a con. I thought the same thing, and I don't remember who it was.
Was it Leslie? I wasn't sure who the hell it was. And again, they showed his sign, but way too briefly for me to read it.
I don't even remember who you're talking about.
Yeah, it was after the woman who was the from the second pilot, not Gary Mitchell, but his
Daner?
Sally Kellerman.
Daner. Thank you. Yeah, they showed Kellerman, and then they cut to this old dude. I had no fucking clue who it was. And I was like,
yeah, they did a really lousy job of introducing who people were. Like, you said the horse got a Chiron?
Yeah.
But no one else did.
Nope. Well,
why?
If they showed Kellerman, and if you didn't know her from that, you'd be like,
exactly.
And she was there as a, her signage was about the fact that it's like, hey, it's this woman from Back to School. And it's like, I know she's from Star Trek because I'm a fucking dork. Most people are going to look at her and go either, oh, it's the woman from Back to School, or it's the movie Hot Lips. Not, oh, it's Daner.
No, she just passed away recently, didn't she?
Yeah, just this year.
Oh, that's sad.
But then again, they also know that Star Trek dorks are the ones watching this, so. But still, it would have been nice. Again, no clue who the old guy was.
They showed a picture of Daner.
Didn't I some time ago make a comment about something being the most cynical cash grab in Star Trek history, and then someone said, no, just wait till you see the captains?
Maybe.
Did that happen?
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't on air.
Maybe. I feel like it had come up, but maybe I'm thinking of a different I don't know.
It sounds like a conversation you could have had, because yes, this does feel like, I don't even feel like a cynical cash grab. It just feels like Shatner didn't want to pay a therapist, so he made a movie instead.
Does he have a Christmas album yet? Speaking of cynical cash grabs?
God, I hope not.
If he doesn't, yeah, I don't know. But he's got a lot of albums, and they're all
maybe
terrible.
this will be the year,
Oh, as a final
frontier
thought, I want to share a joke that I thought of while watching this documentary.
Okay.
So, Captain Kirk went his whole life walking onto the bridges of starships and people saying, "Captain on the bridge, Captain on the bridge." Well, in his final moment, the bridge flipped the script.
Captain under the bridge.
Bridge on the captain.
Also good.
Oof. Oh my.
Oof. Well, I'm glad you talked about this, because this has been fun to talk about, at least.
Yeah, no, what a fucking... I mean, I wouldn't say I'm glad I saw it, but it sure was a fun chat.
This made me want to watch Quantum Leap because I want very badly to like Scott Bakula. That's what I've decided. He seems like he's like a nice, normal dude.
You should watch Quantum Leap.
I'm gonna.
Report back.
I will. I actually almost started... I was so upset by this documentary last night, I almost started watching Deep Space Nine again.
Oh, no.
I was like, no.
No, rewatch Voyager first, and then Quantum Leap.
No, I don't want to rewatch Voyager first. I want to watch Deep Space Nine.
Well, you know what? It's really time to rewatch
Discovery.
Yeah.
No, it's not. Not next week.
It's not?
No.
What the hell's next week?
Next week is Halloween, Chris.
Oh, it's another 10 forward.
Right.
I didn't realize the release order of these. I'm going to keep this in to prove what an idiot I am.
Oh, no.
Don't do that.
Like Shatner.
You're not an idiot. We're just doing stuff out of order. We're just doing stuff. Listen, we don't...
No, this is in order, I think. But anyway, yes, next week we are still not getting Discovery. Hold your butts. It is time for Halloween, and we are watching Jason X, this time in space.
Yes, it's the one Jason movie that's randomly in space. I'm not even going to tell you guys it's any good because it's not, but it's going to be really fun.
Oh, so Ames, you've seen it?
Yes.
I think there's a leprechaun in space too somehow.
I don't want to watch that.
It's the traditional we're getting desperate phase of any horror franchises. Let's do a space version.
I don't want to watch the Leprechaun one. I'll watch this one, but I'm not doing any Leprechaun shit.
They both did like an in New York, and then both went to. I think Freddy has not been to space because
has he been to camp?
In space, no one can hear you dream.
Is that really true?
That would be a great fucking tagline for Freddy in space.
Are you saying that isn't the tagline? This is something you just made up?
There is no Freddy in space, as far as I know.
They need to. That's brilliant.
Anyway, next week, Jason X, which I'm going to point out, will be the first Friday the 13th movie I've ever seen.
It's the only one I've seen.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen any of the others. I've seen some Halloweens, but I've never... And of course, I've seen Slaughter High, brought to you by the studio that brought you Friday the 13th.
True.
But I haven't seen any of the Friday the 13th films.
So yeah,
look forward. Hard to do a Mike Myers in space, I think, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Michael Myers. One of them's the actor, one of them's the killer.
He, of course, has already been to space.
Killer.
Because, as we all know, that's a Shatner mask.
That's true.
There's your connection.
Yep. Anyway,
the original Halloween is great.
Look forward to that, and then we'll be getting to Discovery. Promise we'll be back. We'll be there soon.
I'm more scared of Discovery.
Yeah, same, to be honest.
It's great. So, follow us on your favorite podcasting application. We're on Facebook. We are on Tumblr, sshbpodcast.com. Until then, this has been Chair.
This has been Ames.
This has been Caitlin.
And this is always Jake.